What's up, team? I have to be real about playing this game. First off, I love giant mechs, and the realistic physics, gritty visuals, sweet cockpit details and controls, and the ability to customize your ride is a real treat. However, even though the game can be played in VR or on the monitor, it's still plagued by a low player population. And that sucks, because the game has a lot of cool design choices, a strong and passionate community, and intense gameplay. This is Vox Machinae, a multiplayer battle arena game with unique game modes, large maps, and towering mechs called grinders. Apparently, these mechs were designed to mine resources on remote planets, but the corporations funding everything don't like sharing, so instead of working together, you sensibly strip away most of your mining gear and replace them with lasers, cannons, missiles, and more. Each grinder is designed to be unique and to fulfill some niche role in the team, but the cockpit is always the same, which helps reduce the learning curve for new players. Ammunition may be infinite, but you have this heat gauge preventing you from perpetually firing. Be careful with friendly fire, know your team color, and check your crosshairs before you shoot. You also have this fuel gauge, which limits how long you can boost and fly, a movable radar and score screen, a drop-down monitor for sniping and recon, and even a horn for funsies. The hands-on throttle and stick work as expected in VR. The right stick controls your direction, and the throttle on the left has 4 speeds forward and 2 speeds for reverse. This bulbous button controls your boost, allowing you to strafe, retreat, fly over, or even into things. All the mechs have armor plating, which you need to break off before you can shoot at the grinder's soft, gooey center. But with enough experience and practice, good players will notice that the cockpit and some joints can't help but be exposed, making them vulnerable to pilots with good aim. Now, some mechs have all this extra armor in unique places, and this often aligns with special abilities the grinder may have. For example, the Gold Rush has this giant cow catcher in the front, and it also happens to have the best forward thrust in the game, so that you can, you guessed it, fly face first into other mechs to ruin their day. Others, like the Hopper, are great with vertical flight, and the Rook does best when it's flying horizontally left or right. Also, these blades on the front of the Hopper, or this drill on the bottom of the drill mech, dish out a lot of extra damage if you nail an enemy with them. Other mechs rely on other strengths, like the Dredge is massive and slow and has an innate resistance to all the bumper car attacks. Oh, and the Catalyst has the best heat dissipation, meaning that it can fire weapons longer and more frequently than the other grinders. When your mech takes critical damage, there's nothing left to do but fight it out. Manually ejecting will still grant points to your enemies, so in general, play smart, stick with your team, be strategic, know your advantages, and try to outlast your opponent, since there's no way to repair your mech without spawning anew. A great way to manage this is to remember that your grinder is covered in armor plates. Rotating around when you're under fire to make sure that the enemy is wasting all of their ammunition on your stronger parts will help you remain in battle longer. Alas, you will lose limbs in battle, but this isn't always such a bad thing. You see, the game takes weight into account, so missing limbs can make a good pilot even more nimble and evasive. So long as you don't lose both legs, you're free to keep fighting like an obstinate Black Knight. This game drew me in with its lean towards realism and teamwork over arcadey mech battles, as well as details like all the things you can grab and manipulate in the cockpit, the immersive sound design, and the way you can use a walkie to communicate. Also, allowing the mechs to participate in rock'em sock'em gameplay helped this game stand apart from other mech sims I've played. Ignoring the fact that this game is still in early access and the roadmap is a vague and non-committal idea board, there are a few things that I feel could be improved. I've already mentioned that there just aren't that many players online depending on what time of day you join. Yes, there is an option to play with AI, but these dummies act more like cannon fodder than allies. Some players have been calling for a single player campaign, but improved AI and more active players is a more desirable direction for the way this game was fundamentally designed. Also, I found the game's user interface outside the cockpit kind of clunky. There are some options which really help streamline your mech controls, but some settings can feel hidden within multiple nested selections. There's a very dedicated community of players who often get together to throw down in some hectic mech battling fun. Their Discord is linked in the comments below, and they often host games and events like Planetary Domination, an immersion game mode complete with its own tournament rules and game board. This community was critical in helping me get up to speed with all the details and nuances a pilot should master to avoid being scrapped on each sortie. Look, many new players will pick a random loadout, fly into the middle of a battle because walking is too slow, get easily dismantled by anyone and everyone in the arena, then rage quit because the same thing keeps happening to them over and over again. So ask questions and reach out to better pilots. They will fill you in on some of the beginner and pro tips that make the game so much more enjoyable. And the game has plenty of multiplayer depth to sate even the most diehard gamers. If you're looking for a realistic, immersive, battle arena mech game with customizable loadouts and game modes, then you need to check out Vox Machinae. If you hate slow-moving mechs, poor AI, and dying to experience players and guided missiles that you didn't even know were there and don't have time to get good, then you'll probably get frustrated with this game. For my part, I recommend it for anybody who loves mecha, especially if you're going to play it in VR. The community has ordained Thursdays as their official game night, so if you're new to Vox or haven't strapped in for a while, come check out the Thursday night festivities. The mech loadout options include 2 utility slots, which can be somewhat confusing but often play key roles in some niche strategies. Like, you can manually shut off your mech, removing your radar signature, and some of the utility equipment will take advantage of this by rapidly regenerating your fuel or removing heat. But this is just a simple example. You'll want to check out all the combinations and see what fits your playstyle.